Hey, what's up guys? This is Tom Burkhardt from Car Revs Daily in the 2019 Hyundai Elantra Sport. So we got the new camera angle, new format for the video with picture-in-picture facing forward, as well as walk around playing while we're talking and going for a drive. So this is the 2019 Elantra Sport with a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder making 201 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque through a 7-speed double clutch automatic transmission. Only transmission that's available. This car came with a 6-speed manual for a little bit, but for the US market we are all automatics from now forward. So I'm into first, do a little launch. With the torque converter automatic from Hyundai, you can do a brake torque launch, but not with the double clutch. So if you have your foot on the brake at all, it won't rev for you. But that's okay. This car will do on paper a 6.7 to 6.9 second sprint to 60 miles an hour, which is pretty good. It's hard to tell if I can feel that speed in this car, because I was testing such fast vehicles in the last couple weeks. You know, that M850 and then the C43 AMG, both very rapid cars. So obviously getting out of those and trying to get into anything normal is tricky. Hold on, I gotta go around this guy. So that's tricky, but I did do some timing on you know, just one of those apps like faster on my phone basically, and got like a 6.95 sprint to 60 miles an hour, which is great because I kind of didn't believe it. I kind of was like, this has got to be 7.5, but it really does. It'll deliver that time. The 1.6 liter turbo, you know, you can never hear the turbo really humming away. And until I read the specs of this again, I didn't know this was a double clutch. So those are like not great things right off the bat for the Elantra Sport, because you should know that any turbo is a turbo by having a big rush of torque, and then you should also know something's a double clutch by how responsive it is and how snappy its shifts are. And now that I know those things, I mean, I can tell that it's a DCT for sure, especially in terms of how snappily it'll downshift. So I'm in fourth, third, second. I think first is only, and first under 20 miles an hour. So, okay, so Hyundai's, obviously I'm a big Hyundai fan. I mean, the Veloster N was like one of the most fun vehicles I've ever tested for under $30,000. I just fucking love that car so much. And then obviously the Palisade is amazing. You know, their new full-size SUV with up to 8 seats is fantastic. But you know, Hyundai's range is so big that Elantra has never really been one of my favorites. You know, you can kind of whisper it, but I'm definitely willing to give this car the benefit of the doubt, and that's what we've been doing for the last week. Really trying to think of this vehicle as, you know, the first sporty car that an owner will have, a competitor for the Jetta GLI and the Civic Si, or the Civic Sport, I guess, in some of its cheaper variants. And I guess it does pretty admirably on the looks front and the equipment front versus those vehicles. So looks wise, this is just the top Elantra. So the Elantra Sport and the Limited both have full LED lighting for the headlights, with these really cool quad LED projector beams that are like squared off projectors in a 4-pack on each side, which are really cool. And then really aggressive LEDs for the daytime running lights, and then the brake lights. Very like slashy, very aggressive, sort of really sharp cutting styling for this nose and tail, which were redesigned on the Elantra midway through its life cycle for this generation. They look pretty good. This Elantra Sport has a contrast black, gloss black rear spoiler, really cool like VW-ish wheels with a polished element, as well as dark inner spokes. The wheels are probably one of the coolest parts of this design. Sill extensions, and I think that's about it for the Elantra Sport upgrade. Oh yeah, and a gloss black grille for the nose. So it does look cool. It looks a lot cooler than a lot of the other Elantras. But I'm kind of struggling because this feels smaller than Civic and a lot smaller than Jetta GLI, to the point where I had to look up the pricing. So Elantra, with its base 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and 147 horsepower, is the powertrain for all the other Elantras, and you can get that from about 17 grand. Whereas the Limited, which is like all this without the sport tuned suspension and steering, and without the independent rear suspension. One of the other big upgrades for this is the independent rear versus a live axle in all the other Elantras. So you can get this car from 17 grand, which is cheaper than most Civics, and definitely, you know, cheaper than you could ever get a Jetta. But this car, with a base price of $24,000, is like basically exactly what the Civic SI's base price is as well. So that car has 4 more horsepower. It's a little bit quicker to 60 miles an hour, and it feels fresher than this Elantra. You know, there are ways that it's not necessarily in terms of tech, because Elantra seems pretty bang up to date in terms of its active safety and you know, CarPlay and Android and lots of like features. It definitely feels up to date. It just somehow the core architecture of this vehicle just feels old, and that is disappointing. In addition to feeling smaller than those cars. So it feels kind of tight. Jetta feels like a full size class above this Elantra, and the performance is like it's like a second faster for the GLI to 60 miles an hour. That car will do it in about 6.1 with the optional DSG automatic. You could also get Jetta GLI in a stick shift, which is a fun combination. The Civic Si is stick, and then it's like and then I think a CVT automatic is the only automatic option. So that's a big downside for Civic Si for hardcore performance guys. But you can clearly tell that Elantra was benchmarked against those vehicles, and particularly against the Volkswagens. So the thing that kind of bites is, and I think Hyundai was aware of it with pricing that is about $3,000 to $4,000 under where the GLI sticker's from. GLI's gonna start from about $27,500, and then with DSG it's probably about $30,000. So unfortunately, although both of these cars have a 7-speed DSG and a turbocharged engine, making, you know, I mean, about 200 horsepower. The GLI's at like 210. The GLI also delivers like, I don't know, 250 foot-pounds of torque on paper, and probably in reality about 275 on overboost. Whereas Elantra, making only 195 foot-pounds of torque, it's just a lot slower. It's a lot slower, guys. I'm sorry to report. You know I love to give good news. And Elantra definitely looks cool. There's a lot of cool stuff going for it. But it's just not as good as of a sporty car as the GLI. So GLI's a lot quicker, and even though they both have DSGs and turbos, they don't feel like they're created equal. I mean, the VW's turbo feels a lot stronger. There's a lot more low-end power, a lot more passing power too. Elantra Sport has been really disappointing. It's pretty respectable on the sprints. Like, it really does scoot when you just floor it from a stop. But around town and in regular driving, does it feel really fast and energetic or frisky like the GLI does? No, not at all. This car is it feels like it's doing admirably out here on the handling loop. And you can tell that the steering is a little bit heavier than standard econo car fare, but it definitely doesn't have a ton of lateral grip. The steering, while being more sport tuned, is still pretty imprecise. There's not a lot of lateral grip. The suspension is like, it's firm over bumps, but there's also like quite a bit of body roll, which is disappointing. The seats, although leather, are like, this is the cheapest leather you're ever gonna feel, and that's another sort of downside for Elantra in general, is like cabin materials. Like some of this stuff is like super hard plastic. But let's focus on the drive for now. Okay, so I'm back into second. I'm gonna go over into S. So then it'll let me hold gears. So it'll hold gears in S, but then it'll upshift on your behalf when you get to red line. I don't think it downshifts for you, but that's what the manual part is. So I think it's a good car for people who are coming out of something that just like had no entertainment value or speed to give. You know, maybe like a base Corolla or something. But versus like a GLI or even, you know, the new Corolla, Elantra is not super fun. So that's a little disappointing. I'm disappointed even just telling you guys this, and I am obviously not a stakeholder in the Elantra game at all. So let's flip back to like some of the good stuff. It's got a really good steering wheel. This like flat bottom steering wheel feels really good in your hands. Drive position is pretty good. I like the stainless steel kick plate and pedals that they've got on this. Some of this like carbon fiber wrap that they have for a lot of the interior pieces looks cool. I mean, it's definitely just like that sticker, but it looks, you know, it looks pretty cool. You know, you got sport insignia embossed into the seats. But okay, so then other good stuff is like the nav and infotainment is dead simple. I mean, you've got touchscreen audio as standard with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto also as standard. This car, however, has the $2,000 premium package, which brings integrated navigation into the 8-inch touchscreen, as well as BlueLink connectivity, the Infinity upgraded stereo system with center speaker in the front dash and then a subwoofer in back. Is also good. And then it comes with BlueLink connectivity, so you have like app-based controls for lock and unlock and remote start and stuff like that, with I think a 3-year trial. But for $2,000, that's a pretty steep option package for what's basically the stereo and then having navigation, which of course once you start using CarPlay or Android Auto, you'll never really use again. So not great value there, and that does take the price up to about $27,300 with delivery. In this market segment, you're gonna make a lot of friends or sort of like get a lot of eye rolls based on how you pull off the line, and I think that this Elantra Sport could be a lot more enthusiastic in that regard, and just a lot more fun in general. It's weird to say because obviously Veloster N was like so amazing. I was like could not stop talking about the car. I think the video was like 30 minutes or something. But Elantra Sport, you know, it's a good, respectable sport upgrade of what is like, you know, just a really just humdrum econobox. Unfortunately, it doesn't have like the totally transformative effect on the car like some of the other sport upgrades, like Civic Si or going to the GLI for the Jetta. I think this car, you could cross shop this with like a base Jetta or a base Golf. Like that's the enthusiasm level you're looking at in terms of for driver engagement. So it's got a lot of things going for it. It's cheaper than some of its rivals. It's very easy to buy with some special offers and stuff like that, as well as like most of the tech is standard and very, very easy to use. However, it's not going to really do it for being fun all the time, and it's not going to do it in terms of raw pace versus some of its direct competitors as well. So wish they'd had done better on this car, but they will. You know, that's the great thing about Hyundai is they're improving leaps and bounds over every model generation, and this Elantra is just up next. It's up next for like a big redo. Another car that's also more fun than this vehicle, which is why the Elantra thing is a little confusing, is the Elantra GT. The 5-door hatchback is a global version of this product, and I think just as a totally different platform, or maybe like a new version of this platform, because it feels so much better than this car. You know, I hate to give anything but really high praise in these reviews, so be gentle in the comments. But thanks again for watching, and we will talk to you guys next week.